Yahweh once again, giving all praises to Yahweh.
Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rekah HaKodash.
So, what do you think about what's going on with the government shutdown? What's your thoughts? What's your opinion?
Just another one of those rumors the Lord was talking about. Really, nothing happening. Well, there's something going on, but really, there's nothing going on until that MOTP is implemented. Like, it's all just a step in the right direction, but ultimately, it's not where we need to be. It's just another thing in the world that's going on.
I'm starting to think that every title that you see in the headline of the news is really just like a distraction. It's just a talking point.
And everything is a rumor until the MOTP is implemented. Like, everything.
But what we do know is real is that you got ICE and federal agents going around in the hoods, violating people's civil rights. I don't know if you saw that show that I put up. It was down there in Chicago with agents, and they was just rounding up Jake. Like, I'm talking like, Southern Kingdom, so-called blacks, when really they're supposed to be going after like so-called Latinos, you know what I'm saying, Hispanics, you know what I'm saying, but they just going after everybody. And we knew it would come to this.
Right.
We knew. Eventually they was gonna start going after everybody. I'm just gonna read Isaiah 10 and 1, and it sounds very nice in the NLT. Isaiah 10 and 1, what sorrow awaits the unjust judges and those who issue unfair laws, because America has a great judgment coming to it for all the wrong that's been done. You know what I'm saying? Here it is. This is supposed to be a country that was founded upon principles of freedom and having rights, but yet this administration is just going against the Constitution. I mean, every federal judge will tell you that. You know what I'm saying? So how you just gonna go around harassing people with no probable cause, detaining them, asking them if they're U.S. citizens? Like, where do they do that at? Since when is that legal? But if you're somebody that comes across one of these agents and you get your rights violated, then it's like, who do you go to complain? You know what I'm saying? Like, who do you go to sue? Because technically, that's permissible to be sued.
Right.
So, this place is going down, man. Verse 2, they deprive the poor of justice and deny the rights of the needy. Among my people, they prey on widows and take advantage of orphans. And the so-called black woman that was in the news, she was a key witness. She witnessed this whole thing go down, and she heard one of the ICE agents say, "Forget them kids." Really paraphrasing, because she was like, "You don't have no compassion, no morals, like you don't feel bad about what you're doing." That's what she basically said. And the guy answered, "Forget them, we don't care about them kids, little Jake babies." Because somebody with a conscience, like, you wouldn't feel right doing it. You know what I'm saying? There was even also this ex-NFL player. I believe he had a job working for the FBI, but he recently resigned because it didn't sit right with him how these agents are being deployed, violating people's rights, and detaining and deporting people. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you got people just coming here to make an honest living. They just come here to work. So it's like, what does it do for the economy when they're deporting the U.S.'s working population, like people that actually like do farm jobs that nobody really wants to do anyway. And on top of that, they do it for like cheap. They don't get paid much. So I I landed my plane. You got something?
This is Zechariah chapter 1, verse 15. It says, "And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction." I'm reading the NLT. Zechariah 1 and 15.
Sounds good just like that.
It says, "But I am very angry with the other nations that are now enjoying peace and security. I was only a little angry with my people, but the nations inflicted harm on them far beyond my intentions."
And
See?
just,
Okay.
and just think, like, all the oppression that the 12 tribes of Israel have had to go through over the years and throughout the course of history, and yet we're still here.
Still catching hell.
Yep. What you gonna say?
Yeah, because like the heathens, they forwarded our affliction to the 10th power. Like it's like they come up and devise new ways. How can we fuck up Jake? And how can we destroy their communities and really just destroy them as a people?
Yeah, because back in what, 60s or the 70s, they gave you dope, they gave you heroin.
Give you welfare.
That's where you get dudes like Frank Lucas. What's the other guy's name? Matthews.
Nicky Barnes.
Yeah, and Nicky Barnes. I remember watching that documentary, Nicky Barnes.
Yeah, the Untouchable.
Yeah, the Untouchable.
Yeah.
He's a snitch, you know that?
Yeah.
But yeah, you had them guys from that era, and then after that, you had the crack era, the crack epidemic.
Can't forget welfare. I seen a documentary on welfare. It was literally devised to destroy the black family unit. That was its whole purpose. That you can't have a man in the house and be collecting welfare at the same time. So what did the women choose? Ultimately, they chose welfare over their men.
Which is a damn shame.
And then now you see the effects of it. Here we are in 2025. The effects of welfare. Hence you have that term, welfare babies.
Yeah, because that's how you really break up the family structure. You take the man out of the house.
The man is the head, which is the covering. So you get rid of the covering, you can easily influence the woman and the children and destroy them.
Yeah, so Eve essentially chose money and power over her own family.
Money and freedom. And ultimately, we know freedom, you could destroy yourself if you don't, put a lid on it. And the man is the lid. Your man won't allow you to go but so far. So you take that man out the house, where's the retribution? Who's the rod of correction? Zechariah 1 and 16 in the NLT. It says, "Therefore this is what the Lord says, I have returned to show mercy to Jerusalem. My temple will be rebuilt, says the Lord of heaven's armies, and the measurements will be taken for the reconstruction of Jerusalem." And when you understand Jerusalem is a people before it is a place, so it's talking about the people on these signs, starting with you blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. The Lord is coming back to save us from this hell, because really, who else is going to save us? Who else is going to, put us on a good footing in this world, when ultimately the world and the people that run this world are against you?
So just to expound on your point with how they essentially butchered the family structure, there's a scripture. This is Ecclesiasticus 40 and 23. A friend and companion never meet amiss, but above both is a wife with her husband. So that's really like a sacred bond, like that connection between husband and wife. Because it's intricate, it's deep, and yet this society pushes the vibration that a woman, she doesn't need a man. She could just be by herself. She got the freedom to do well. She She doesn't have to rely on a man. She can just do her own thing. But yeah, well, we'll see how that works when you get 30, 35, and you're starting to feel lonely. You know what I'm saying? Because what type of woman doesn't have a man? It gets to a point where even like the other woman in her family, they're like, yo, where's your man at? Like, where's your husband? When you gonna get married?
That's not natural. You go anywhere else in the world, women understand that they need their men. But in America, through the forwarding of this wickedness, they'll preach to you college, you know, how you can be free and independent. But really, that's ultimately a snare to get you caught up and ultimately destroy yourself. You show me a woman that has freedom, you're going to see a woman that's down bad. Whether it be physically, mentally, financially, she's not in the best position she could be in if she had a husband.
Yeah, that's when they go start going to bars. They hoping that somebody buys them a drink. Because they hit the wall. And they're trying to like socialize and put themselves out there.
As you said, this is Ecclesiasticus 26:8. A drunken woman and a gatherer abroad causeth great anger, and she will not cover her own shame. You know, there's a saying here, you know, when a woman is, here it is, she went to some man's house, had a one-night stand, now she gotta leave. She taking that walk of shame, you know? Because she was, you know, just living her life, being free.
Read that again?
It says, a drunken woman and a gatherer abroad causeth great anger, and she will not cover her own shame. Because really, when women are living like that, they don't even understand that they're embarrassing their family and their father. But a lot of these women, they don't even have a father. And that's part of the curses as well.
You're supposed to be her father.
Right. But she can't look at you like that because she doesn't know what it's like to have a man over her. So she don't know what it's like to take orders from a man. She ain't never experienced it, and she ain't never seen it. So here it is, you expect to come into her life and her to just fall into that lot. It's not gonna happen.
Not with ease.
It ain't even worth this. The juice squeeze ain't even worth it. The juice ain't worth the squeeze.
So the bottom line is, the society is fucked up.
Right. And only the Lord can put it back together.
Like, we can't live like this. We can't prosper in this society. It's not set up that way.
But ultimately, for us to succeed in this life, our mindset has to be changed. The elect, their mindset has been changed through the word, but the 2/3, their minds is just going to have to be changed through force when they're destroyed and they come back in the kingdom of heaven with their new minds and their new bodies. Their heart is hardened. See, they're not gonna get this knowledge be kicking. It's going way over their head because the Lord doesn't want them to get it now. So they're just gonna have to get it later. Not through choice, but by force, you know?
Yeah, and that's a part of the new covenant. Because we know that our people are inherently wicked. So therefore, a lot of our people, they're just gonna have to meet their demise. That's the only reclamation. And so when they come back in the kingdom, because they are gonna be regenerated, they're gonna be brought back to the elect that do make it. Then that's when they're gonna be right. They're gonna be under the new covenant. They're gonna have a new spirit, a new heart, like it says in Ezekiel. And that's when they're gonna be right.
It's gonna be all good. You're not gonna have to worry no more.
I was thinking about that today. I'm like, yo, in this world, you gotta worry about people snaking you. People doing some sly shit.
Trying to get over.
That's not good. Like,
motherfuckers robbing Peter to pay Paul. All kind of shit going on, just for people to get ahead.
but people wouldn't have to do that if they weren't in a precarious position. You know what I'm saying? Because in this society, like, people's mindset is like, yo, I gotta pay my bills. Right. And as long as people's minds are set like that, they're really never gonna have the energy to connect genuinely with people or to start a revolution,
Right.
like a mental revolution. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because if you think about it, it should have already been done a long time ago. Like, why is it that it has to get to this point where people are struggling today in 2025? I mean, the average cost for rent is what for a studio, like 1,600, depending on where you live. I mean, that's ridiculous. Shoot, I seen a video. They had like a little studio apartment somewhere in Manhattan, and it was $500 a month. I'm not gonna lie, it redid it. It looked nice, but it was small. So it's like, who would really like live there like long term? You know what I'm saying?
Shit, that's once they go to renew that lease, that shit gonna be 1,000 now.
Oh yeah, that part. Because you walk in, you just see the room, and then the kitchen's right there to the right, and then keep going to the right. Then there's a bedroom. I mean, not a bedroom, a bathroom. So that place is like, it's like you're living in a shoebox. But that's what 500 gets you. Like you said, that's how they get you in, and then you renew the lease, it goes up.
It's like this truth, this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, it literally takes the shackles off your mind. The people who are just out here in the world, the 2/3, without this knowledge, they still got shackles on their mind. I don't even care if you call yourself a 5%er, you're a Muslim, you still got shackles on your mind. Because you don't really understand what it is that's going on here and what the Lord is preparing for America and the inhabitants thereof. You still got shackles on your mind. When you come into this truth, you put off all of that. Like, you don't care about money. You just need enough, your daily bread, pay your bills, and it's a blessing if you have enough to, clothe yourself. You can have a vehicle. That's all extras. But if you can feed yourself and pay your bills, you're in a better situation than most.
In Romans 12:2, sister said that.
This is Romans chapter 12, verse 2. It says, let me go to the King James. This is Romans 12:2 in the King James. It says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Lord.
Yeah, so when you come into this knowledge, you free your mind. You release yourself from the shackles. And I mean, this knowledge is right here. Anybody can learn. But is everybody meant to learn? No, that's a different thing.
This is John 8:31. It says, then said Yahushua to those Jews which believed on him, if ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. You see, we know the truth. We have a deep understanding of the Heavenly Father and his will. These people have no idea. They've been plagued by the Christian church and the Roman Catholic Church about the will of the Lord and what the Lord wants and how you should be and how he will accept you. But really, it's all confusion. You don't really have the understanding. You might have like a glimpse, a synopsis, but you don't have the full understanding. So how can you know what the Lord wants if you only got half the story? You don't have the full understanding. You only got half the puzzle done. How you gonna get the full picture that way?
That's why we here, like, really, we're putting the pieces to the puzzle together for you.
Right.
Like, we're laying it out plain and straight.
Where can you go where you can ask any question on the Bible and on the spot they can give you an answer for it? You can't go nowhere else for that. That doesn't tell you that this is the will of the Lord and not of us. I don't know what does.
Thanks.
They're really like all this, like I know everybody sees what's going on here and they got questions or don't understand what's going on, but we out here to answer all your questions. But what do people do? They just look at the sign, They just look at us like, what are we doing out here? Or they just can ignore it altogether. Like, you ain't even gonna stop to inquire. Like that, I can't believe that. But that lets you know that this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding isn't for everybody. It's just for who it's for. It's either for you or it's not.
And that also lets you know how these other philosophies, such as Christianity or Catholicism, they're really all stumbling blocks. Because what it does is it plays out the Bible to a lot of people. Like, people start to think less of the scriptures. They be like, well, what's the difference between you guys and Christians? You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been there, done that. You know what I'm saying? So when they finally come across the real, it's hard for them to decipher whether we're any different from the other denominations or philosophies.
They think it's all one and the same. Like, even with the Israelite, camps, they think all camps are one and the same. We all teach the same thing. We all think the same way. But that's not the case. This is Psalms 23. Oh, you got something? This is Psalms 23. The point is the 5th verse, but I'll start at the top. I'll read fast. It says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul." And this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding restored our soul. We was completely lost in the world like the rest of the 2/3. But now through this knowledge and wisdom and understanding, it's like we have nothing, but we feel like we have it all because we have this understanding. And we wouldn't trade nothing for it. It says, "He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." And when you really enter into this faith, you're not scared of death. You don't fear what's gonna happen to you and what could happen to you in this world, because you understand if anything does happen to you, it was written. It was the will of the Lord. Like, I don't leave the house in fear of my life, because ultimately I understand when it comes down to the wire, me having to sacrifice my life is really something that could possibly happen, and I gotta really prepare my mind for that and understand that could be my fate. I might have to give my life for this truth, and I'm 100% okay with that. It says, "I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemy." And that's what we're doing out here ultimately. You want to sit at that table. It says, "Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever." The house of the Lord, that's ultimately where we're trying to end up. That's it. This is John 14:2. It says, "In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you." You see? Ultimately, we want at least a mansion in the house of the Lord, the idea of having a mansion in this world, we put that so far off from obtaining that, like that's not even a reality, and it's not even worth fighting for. Rather, it's better for us to just put in this work now for the Lord and receive, a mansion from the Lord, so to speak.
Yeah, and we won't have to pay property taxes for it.
Right. I tell you, this world is not all it's cracked up to be, and you understand that when you come into the faith, because this world is just going to trick you with these shiny objects, a new car, a home. Like, it's not worth obtaining here. And if you have it, cool. There's nothing wrong with having it, but you got to put all things in its proper order. The will of the Lord comes before all these things. So you're here trying to fight and scrape up a down payment on a new home and just putting off the Lord. But you're going to see where that gets you in the end, when all of that shit is going to be destroyed with you in it.
Down payment on a new home nowadays is 20%.
Right, here it is. The house is 800,000. You got 20% of 800,000.
450,000. Matter of fact, let's do the knowledge. 20% of, let's just say, 450,000.
What is 20% of 450,000? $90,000.
Yeah, so you gotta save up to almost 100K just so that you can put the down payment on the house. You better off just taking that 90,000 and buying a crib in Japan.
Right. That. But here it's like the mindset of the people here. They look at America as the land of opportunity. That may have been true at one point, but that's no longer the case now. America has sold out your futures.
There's no point in building a life here.
At all.
There's nothing here but pain and struggle.
America sold your future down the line.
Yeah, of course, at one point, it was smooth. You could survive off of one income. You didn't have to go to college and get a degree. You go over there, work at the local plant. You know what I'm saying? At General Motors. And you will receive enough salary to support yourself and your family. But them days is over with.
Long gone, and they never coming back. They allowed those companies to go out to other countries and have child labor, which is completely illegal here, but it's okay if you do it somewhere else if you turn in a profit. I'll let you know that's all it's about is a profit.
Yeah, and then now it's to the point where like countries like China, which is the US basically used for cheaper labor. Now they're moving on without the US. They don't need them more.
Yeah, they're thriving off, you selling out, because China was thinking long term while America was thinking short term. Now these other nations that you allow these companies to move into, they're thriving and doing better than Americans. Because really, when you think about it, these companies, it's like a trickle-down effect. Everything affects something else. So you take those companies out of America, now they're not paying the taxes in America, which ultimately trickles down to the people and have people better off. So it's you really sold your future out. This is Proverbs 18 and 14.
I'm sure the elites, they knew what they was doing. They knew exactly what they were doing. They just wanted to get rich fast. Because there's no way that you could tell me that there's a benefit to selling out your people, your local economy, to benefit other foreign nations. I mean, you would have had to realize that at some point, them nations would build up their own economy, their own infrastructure of the business that they're getting for being a producer to the U.S. You would have had to realize that at some point that day was going to come.
America was short-sighted. This is Proverbs 18 and 10. It says, "The name of the Lord Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. The rich man's wealth is his strong city, and as a high wall in his own conceit."
Yeah, because when you're rich, I mean, it's obvious. They live in like gated communities. They live away from like the peasants, the poor.
They think when you're rich, it's like, what worries do you have? You got it. Like, even the scriptures say, money is a defense. So it's like any problems that you may have, you could throw money at it to distinguish the problem. Your water heater blow up in your crib, shit, just buy another one. Like, these are problems that rich people don't have. They can afford to upkeep whatever they have. Meanwhile, the people that's on the bottom struggling, the water heater blow in your crib, you gotta take out a loan to get that shit
Hell
fixed.
yeah. Shoot. Even if you gotta redo your bathroom, remodel your bathroom or your kitchen,
Right.
you gotta take out a loan for that. Which a bathroom does have a shelf life. So the bathroom is gonna go before you even pay off the house.
Kitchen too.
Yep.
You have to afford the upkeep. That's part of owning a home is the upkeep.
But how can you afford the upkeep though in today's day and age?
Exactly.
keeps taking out another loan, another loan.
And then you add these tariffs on it. Now you got to pay for the tiles and the, you know, the supplies to do these improvements and these home repairs. Now it's even more money.
Yeah, which we haven't even seen the effects of tariffs yet. You know, so far right now it's a rumor. You know what I'm saying? But when it gets real, if it gets real, when tariff prices hit, I don't see how people are gonna not lose it.
None of this shit is made in America.
I think right now what it is they're still surviving off the stock that they brought in, because they shop ahead, they plan. So they're surviving off of like 3 months worth of stock. So it's a potential situation where we might have to wait a couple months until we see the effects of tariffs.
Proverbs 18 and 11 again.
Or, like I was saying, was tariffs just another talking point, a rumor, a distraction? Is it that? Because it's hard to decipher what's real nowadays and what's fake. Nothing is always what it seems.
Be half of what you see and none of what you hear. Proverbs 18 and 11. It says, the rich man's wealth is his strong city, and there's a high wall in his own conceit. It says, before destruction, the heart of a man is haughty, and before honor is humility. He that answereth a matter before he heareth it, it is folly and shame unto him. The spirit of a man will sustain his infirmity, but a wounded spirit who can bear? The heart of the prudent getteth knowledge, and a
wounded spirit who can bear. So, you know how in this society they say that anxiety is at a high rate. People suffer from anxiety or depression. Well, the reason why people suffer from that is because of look at the conditions of how we're living. There's always something you gotta worry about in society.
Every first of the month.
Yep. They say that you're one missed paycheck away from going broke.
That
Ended up homeless. The average American, they don't have $1,000 in their bank account.
everybody's just they're just treading water. They're just making it. So they're one mishap away from losing it all. Like, imagine you need to drive to work every day, and then boom, your transmission go, or you need a new set of tires. You know what I'm saying? It's things like that that'll set somebody behind.
And then that's when you take out the credit card, put it on the credit card,
And then you never pay that credit card off. Now the interest rate.
and your credit card interest rate is like 12%,
Now you playing catch up.
17%.
That's the snare of America. That's why people are so fucking depressed. They don't have any money to save because things are so high. So now they gotta use the credit card, and now the credit card carries interest, and now they're not able to pay off that card because the interest is so high. So they're just playing catch up.
What's 10% of 1,000? 100?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you get a credit card with a $2,500 limit, and let's say you max that out, I think now the average interest rate for a credit card is like 15%. It's over 10%, something like that. So just imagine paying over 10% on 2,500 or 1,000. That's like an extra $100 tacked on, or like $200 tacked on, if you don't pay that bill off in full. Which the whole point of the credit card is using it because you don't got it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you're just gonna make small payments, small little payments.
Which is they're making a debt and nothing because of the interest.
So my point is, this society is not meant for you to prosper.
It was all designed like that for a reason. Here it is, somebody doesn't have the money, you're gonna charge them an interest for not having it. That's a snare if I ever seen one. That's a trick if I ever seen it. This is Proverbs 18 and 13. It says, he that answereth the matter before he heareth it, it is folly and shame unto him. The spirit of a man will sustain his infirmity, but a wounded spirit who can bear? The heart of the prudent getteth knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeketh knowledge. A man's gift maketh room for him, and bringeth him before great men. So this is our gift. We was granted with the gift of faith, which not most people was given. And Lord's will, if we carry it through the end, and we make it to the end, we'll receive one of those mansions of the Lord. We'll have the seat at the table in the kingdom of heaven. That's ultimately our purpose. That's what we're out here for. Is praying that we have a seat at the table.
And we're just hoping and praying that we receive mercy from the Most High. And hey, the Day of Atonement just passed. So you know how you're supposed to fast and pray for the Most High to forgive you for your sins. So, that's our hope, is that we have a spot in the chariot.
Right. Like ultimately, the Lord was that great sacrifice. He was that atonement for us. But you fast to show your faith. You go 24 hours without eating and drinking to prove your faith to the Lord.
Which a lot of you Americans, you can't even do that.
Right.
You can't go 24 hours without eating.
Right.
But fasting, it builds up your spirit, it builds up your body. So if the time ever comes up where we gotta go a day or two without eating, we can do that. We know we can do it.
Right. That's it.
I got a scripture. Isaiah 36:6. Lo, thou trustest in the staff of the broken reed in Egypt, wherein if a man lean, it will go into his hands and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him. So you should really deviate from trusting in the system. You know what I'm saying?
What scripture was that?
Isaiah 36:6.
Isaiah 31:1. It says, woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses, and trust in chariots, because they are many, and in horsemen, because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord Yahweh.
Yes. So a lot of people, they rather trust in the system, they rather trust in anything but the Lord.
People, ultimately, because they wasn't blessed with that spirit of faith. These people, they got to see it to believe it. If they can't see it, they don't believe it. They don't think it's real, and there's no way. That's ultimately where faith comes in.
Meanwhile, this system is sinking. It's imploding.
They feeling it in their pockets, at least.
But yet, a lot of people, they're naive. They're ignorant. So they don't even realize that. Some people think that it's gonna get better. They just think that we're gonna have to wait for the next election cycle, and then we're gonna vote somebody else, and they're gonna clean all this up. They're gonna fix it. But when has that ever been done? You know how you have the two horns, or another phrase is two sides of the same coin. That's basically how your two-party system operates. You know what I'm saying? One party comes in, they'll open the floodgates. The next party comes in, they'll turn the water off.
Leave you begging and needing them ultimately. But see, that's what this knowledge of wisdom does, It gives you the eyes out. It gives you, you can see what's going on, You can peep the whole play. You're not naive. You know what's going on, and you know what the Lord is preparing on this place.
got some. This is Ezekiel 18. The heading of it is God deals justly with individuals. I'll start off at the first verse and I'll jump down. It says, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, what mean ye that use this proverbs concerning the land of Israel, saying, the fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge. As I live, the Lord God, ye shall not have occasion any more to use.
You could go.
To use this proverb to Israel.
All right, no problem. Read that again.
This is going to continue. Verse 4, Ezekiel 18 and 4. Behold, all souls are mine, as the soul of the Father. So also the soul of the Son is mine. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. So that also is a reinforcement of how really we're not free individuals. Every soul that was created by the Most High. But if a man be just and do that which is lawful and right, and has not eaten upon the mountains, neither has lifted up his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel, neither has defiled his neighbor's wife, neither has come near to menstruous women, and has not oppressed any, but has restored to the debtor his pledge, has spoiled none by violence. Let's emphasize on that. Has spoiled none by violence, has given his bread to the hungry, and has covered the naked with a garment. So, really, in a society that's predicated upon morals, I mean, you're not supposed to be seeing people that are struggling, that are poor, that are, being transgressed against. Like, in this society, you have to worry about your woman committing adultery against you. You know what I'm saying? Sleeping with another man, or another man trying to sleep with your woman.
It's just the reality.
Yeah. So that shows you that we're not living in a righteous society.
That could go on here, and there will be like no punishment against it. So that lets you know this world isn't in its right order. In other nations, other parts of the world, that can't go down and nothing happens to you. There's a checks and balances. In America, there's no checks and balances, and that's why this place gotta go. That's why shit just got as bad as it did here. There's no checks and balances.
And really, in a way, the welfare system in America is based off of the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? Like that, the safety net. But now we're seeing how they're removing the safety net away because people became reliant on it. You know what I'm saying? But it ended up being that way by default, because how is anybody really, like, some people's mindset is, how are they really going to do better than welfare? How are they going to do better than the food stamps?
When you really understand it, the enemy set it up like that purposefully with redlining. How can you establish generational wealth when you didn't even get a chance to, a fair shake? You was strategically kept out of these, what's the word I'm looking for? You was just strategically kept out of these ways for you to forward yourself into society and ultimately building, quote unquote, your generational wealth, something that you could pass down to your family. You was kept out of that from the beginning.
Yeah, and just to repeat, it says, has spoiled none by violence. So can the so-called white man say that they haven't spoiled anybody by violence?
That's his MO.
Yeah, they can't say that. In the movie Sinners, remember when they bought that piece of land, and they said to the guy, which he later was revealed to be a KKK guy. He's like, yeah, don't come back on this land.
Right.
He's like, the land don't be around here. The land don't exist here. And then you know how they end. They came back. They tried to, not even tried. Yeah, he got, he got unalived. You know what they was gonna do with that land? They was gonna take it back. So they was basically trying to, they double crossed it. That was their intent. They double cross it. Take the money that they got from the purchase, and then come back and take the land back.
And try to sell it again.
So I'm sure that was going on a lot in the South. That's why it was hard to have land ownership and to have a successful business, because once some devils get a whiff of what you're doing, they're gonna get jealous. Just to continue, verse 8, last one. He that has not given force upon usury, neither has taken any increase, that has withdrawn his hand from iniquity, has executed true judgment between man and man. We read that again in the NLT. Ezekiel 18:8. He grants loans without interest, stays away from injustice, is honest and fair when judging others. So in this society, you want to try to get ahead, you want to try to build generational wealth, you got to go to the bank for a loan. And they ain't going to charge you interest on top of that. You want a car so that you can get from point A to point B, and you ain't got the funds to buy it outright, then what? You got to go to the bank and get a car note and pay interest on that. So that's how the majority of people are living in this society. They're living off of debt. That's a shame. And that's really unrighteous. You see, what a true righteous, fair, just society would do is they'll teach you how to fish, not just give you the fish. You know what I'm saying? They'll put you in a position to be self-sufficient.
This is Deuteronomy 28:48. It says, Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemy, which the Lord Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And Esau Edom, he will literally bleed you until you have nothing left. He wants literally everything and you to have nothing. That's ultimately what interest is. How can you loan out money that you know they don't got the money, and you're gonna give it to them anyway, with a tax on top of it? That's total wickedness. That's usury. You're taking advantage of somebody's plight to forward yourself. That's wicked. Like if somebody, like say if this brother needed to come to me for whatever reason, he needed money, oh yo, let me hold 100, and he pays me back, I'm only gonna expect 100 back. I'm like, all right, I need 120 on that. That's taking advantage.
So yeah, all right, I'll give it to you, but it's gonna be 5 points.
It's gonna be a big on that. Like that's wicked.
And you know, when we had our own society and our structure in the ancient world, this is how it used to be. So this is Exodus 21 and 2. If thou buy a Hebrew servant, 6 years shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go free for nothing. So it's like, yeah, you can work under somebody, you know what I'm saying, and you'll gain a skill set or a trade, and then when it comes time for you to leave, if you decide to leave, then you can leave with substance. You know
Sustenance.
with some substance. It's not like you have somebody working for you for 7 years, and you know when his time is up, it's not like you're gonna be like, nah, you can't leave. You got to give me something. I own you. Right. Like you can't do that. You can't own a Hebrew. Unless that's how he wants, because you know the other law in Deuteronomy where if you get like a wife while you're under somebody that you're working for, might as well read it.
It's like when you leave, you can't leave with your wife, your
Yeah.
children.
That's Deuteronomy 15 and 17. Oh, actually, it's Exodus 21 and 6, same chapter. Exodus 21 and 6. Actually, we start off. Exodus 21 and 2, if you buy it, and this is in the NLT, so it'll sound a lot clearer. If you buy a Hebrew slave or servant, it says slave, he may serve for no more than 6 years. Set him free the 7th year, and he will owe you nothing for his freedom. If he was single when he became your slave, you shall leave single. But if he was married before he became a slave, then his wife must be freed with him. Verse 4, if his master must gave him a wife while he was a slave, and they had sons or daughters, then only the man will be free the 7th year, but his wife and children will still belong to his master. Because you got to think, like, that's like an extra mouth that you're feeding, that you're taking on. It's like an extra responsibility. As a person that's running the situation. Verse 5, but the slave may declare, I love my master, my wife, and my children. I don't want to go free. If he does this, his master must present him before the Most High. Then his master must take him to the door or doorpost and publicly pierce his ear with an awl. After that, the slave will serve his master for life. So, in a way, that was an out for you if you was like somebody that didn't have substance. Like, you could just, work under somebody for 7 years, and then it'll be your choice whether you decide to remain under him, be taken care of by him, or if you just want to, be free and then branch off and then take your skills and your trades and just, build from scratch, do your own thing. So at least back then you had a choice.
Right.
Nowadays, you're born into this world, you're under a system where you really have no choice but to work or to pay taxes. You know what I'm saying? So in a way, it's like Esau is posing as the Most High over us.
And that time that we're entering into it, the MOTB, that's going to be that all in your ear. Either you're going to choose to serve the Lord, you walk away to serve the Lord, or you're going to side and stay with your master Esau and get that MOTB, which is that all.
Yeah, because there's no rest in this society. Like, you got to work until you die, basically. Like, there practically is no retirement age. And even if you do retire, you have to maintain income so that you can pay your taxes. So are you really ever free?
You're going to have to get a part-time job.
Are you really ever free?
Do you really ever get rest for your soul? Do you ever get a break? Here it is, you started working when you was fucking what? I'll just say 18. Most started working before that, but I'll say 18 till death. Like, what kind of life is that to live? Like, that's why we need the kingdom of heaven. This is Deuteronomy 23 and 19. It says, thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury. Usury is interest. If I lent you something, I lent you 100, just give me back 100. You made me whole again. There's no reason to take advantage. says, unto a stranger thou mayest lend upon usury.
But that's a society. Like, that's the heart of the society's debt. So just for that alone, the Most High is going to judge this place. Just for that alone. If nothing else.
It says, unto a stranger thou mayest lend upon usury, but unto thy brother thou shalt not lend upon usury.
Yeah, in other words, if somebody's not of your kin, then yeah, you can lend them money and you can charge them money. You can't do that to your brother. You know what I'm saying? Or to your sister. Esau, he'll do that to his own people.
It says that the Lord thy power may bless thee in all that thou seest, thine hand to in the land whither thou goest to possess it.
And then furthermore, it's like we never caught a break. Here it is, we worked for free for over 400 years, and we never got reparations. Yet, you know, we can't even get universal health care.
Right.
We can't even get tax exemptions. You know what I'm saying? We still have to pay our way over here. So Jake never catches a break. So like the basic necessities of life have been monopolized. Like it's a shame that you have to go to the doctor and you gotta worry about if they take your insurance.
You got a copay.
Yeah. It shouldn't even be that way. It should be just universal free healthcare. Why not?
This is the structure that we got to deal with under the rulership of Esau.
Like, why do you have to monopolize health, people's health? Why do you try to gain off of that? And on top of that, you're really sabotaging their health as well.
With the bullshit food.
Yeah, with the food system.
That's why in other countries, you can't sell high fructose corn syrup and food coloring because they already know that that's been linked to your health. So here it is, this country is paying for your health care. They're not gonna feed you the bullshit because ultimately that means they've gotta pay to get you right. But in America, you can do that because it's profitable for you to be fucked up.
And that's why they got that guy RFK Jr. They got him in the seat. He's trying to reform these health regulations.
The damage is done.
Within the food now.
Damage is done. Got fucking all these microplastics, these forever chemicals, it's a wrap. Damage is done. So this is Ezekiel 18 and 10. According to 13th verse. It says, if he beget a son that is a robber, a shedder of blood, and that doeth the like to any one of these things, and that doeth not any of those duties, but even hath eaten upon the mountains, and defiled his neighbor's wife, hath oppressed the poor and needy, hath spoiled by violence, hath not restored the pledge, and hath lifted up his eyes to the idols, hath committed abomination, hath given forth upon usury, and hath taken increase, shall he live? He shall not live. He hath done all these abominations, he shall surely die, his blood shall be upon him. Esau committed all that. That's why this man, he just has to be ripped out of the power seat, and ultimately Yahushua placed in the power seat so the world can thrive again. Under the rulership of Esau Edom, the world can't thrive. Everything is thrown out of its natural order. So how can anything heal? Starting from the highest to the lowest.
Yes, you said that. It's like you get Revelation 22 on the roads. 22 and 2.
This is Revelation chapter 22, verse 2. It says, in the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nation.
Yeah, so in other words, the 12 tribes of Israel, once they're placed back into their proper order, we're going to be able to bring healing to the earth, to the nations. You know, so it's going to be like, it's not going to only benefit us being in power, it's also going to benefit the entire earth and everybody that's on it. And it's going to naturally be that way because we're not going to be polluting the environment at the expense of, you know, other people's health in the name of capitalism, like how it is today. We're not going to be, you know, putting chemicals in the food, stuff that don't belong there. That's, you know, bad for your health in the long run.
Compromising. That's all you got to deal with here under the rulership of Esau. You're being compromised. Everything is defiled.
Like, why can't everything just be organic?
Right.
And natural?
Like, there's a whole market. I was thinking about that. Like, there's literally a market for grass-fed cow products. Why can't everything just be grass-fed?
Yeah, right.
Like, why can't everything just be in its best order that's best for your health? Here it is, you gotta pay a tax on something that's better for you. Why can't you just have it that way from the beginning?
We're not gonna bottle up water in plastic bottles and sell it to you. We're not gonna do that.
Right. Here it is, in America, you gotta pay for your basic necessities. You gotta pay for water, you gotta pay for shelter, you gotta pay for electricity.
Why we gotta pay for water when it rains? It's supposed to be free.
Why are we paying property taxes? That's the biggest scam going. If not for anything else, the people should be rioting about that.
Why you gotta pay an electric bill when you can have a solar system set up and then the sun charges your house? You get electricity from the sun.
Like I said, this is all a scam, and we're all just forced to put up with it. That's why the Lord just has to come dismantle this establishment and set up a new one.
Yep. So with that, we're gonna close. Shalom.
Shalom.